Hello everyone, and welcome to Kindness 101. I'm going to start by introducing my faculty members. First of all, we have my daughter Meryl. She's going to help out here. And my son Emmett is our cameraman. Today we're going to talk about courage. Can you see that? Courage.
Well, the C is a little cut
C is a little cut off, but they get the idea.
Yeah, they get the idea.
Yeah, it's about courage, right? What does that mean, courage?
Like, it sort of means bravery, but not totally.
Not totally. Great point, exactly. You're dressed up as what today?
Courageous Princess.
The Courageous Princess. One of Meryl's favorite books of all time, The Courageous Princess. What makes her courageous?
Well, I think I probably could find a page in there that would describe it.
Okay. Oh, look at her. Let me show the boys and girls. Can you see that? That's the Courageous Princess down here. And look at that dragon. Oh, that had to take a lot of courage.
Yeah.
Do you think that she was always able to face down dragons like that, the Courageous Princess? Probably not, no.
No.
How did she get so that she could stand there and face down a dragon? That's what we're going to talk about, right? That's what we're going to talk about today. How do you succeed at becoming a courageous person?
Succeeding at becoming a courageous person is actually failure.
That's so good. That's so good. You succeed by failing, which is weird as that sounds.
Yeah.
You have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. You need
You need to be able to step outside your comfort zone.
That's a perfect point. We got some stories that'll illustrate kids that are able to get outside their comfort zone, and they are therefore very courageous. I've got 4 stories that I want to show you today. These are all about very courageous people. And the first one that I want to show you is about a very courageous football player.
The Brandywine Bulldogs in Wilmington, Delaware have one of the most unlikely football players in America today. And not just because this guy is so little, but because this guy is a girl.
I knew that I wanted to play football, and I knew that I wanted to start on varsity, and nothing stood in the way from it.
At 4'8", senior Felicia Perez is one of the shortest kids in her school. And she's not a kicker like many girls who play high school ball. No, Coach Isaiah Mays says Felicia came to him with a different position in mind.
A girl could technically play anything, but most of them don't say they want to play linebacker right away.
That's right, linebacker.
And, you know, it's a physical position. You get hit every play, and she's gotten rocked a couple times, but she gets right back up.
Felicia says it's everything she ever dreamed. For as long as she can remember, she's wanted to play football. But it took a while to convince her parents.
I kind of kept pushing for it. It was like, Mom, Dad, I really want to play. And they were like, okay, well, let's go sign you up. And I was like, let's go.
They thought you were bluffing, that you really didn't want to.
Yeah, they thought I was bluffing.
So you called their bluff.
I did. I think I still do.
And it wasn't just her parents who were skeptical. When she went to sign up, Felicia was directed at first to the cheerleading table. It was the beginning of a lot of false assumptions and some bullying.
Came to weight training and everybody started laughing.
The guys say it was just hard to believe that this little girl could actually contribute.
It was just like, you shouldn't be playing football. But then, you know, she hit me hard, and I was like, all right, well, maybe she should be playing football.
And that was the end of that.
That's not a girl playing, that's a football player.
They say no one dare laugh now.
You gotta protect yours. She family to us, so.
That means standing up for Felicia when the other teams target her. And by all accounts, they do target her. She's had more than a handful of broken fingers, and they try to bruise her ego too, with insults.
So when you're going through all that stuff, why not just take the easy way out?
We never take the easy way
and not
out.
play, but you would have avoided all that pain.
You're right, I would have, but would I be here today? No.
Short girl, long view.
I mean, Felicia's just a great example of somebody with a lot of courage, right? She got that way by not worrying about the teasing, not worrying about the embarrassment. She got that way by not taking the easy way out. It would have been a lot easier for her to not try out for that team, but she took the hard way, the really hard way, right? Things that are easy are inside our comfort zone. You mentioned comfort zone earlier, right? When you get outside your comfort zone, you can grow. And I think that's a really important lesson, don't you? I think so too. Our next story is about another athlete who is really the master of courage. You know who I'm going to show, right? This is a story about Gerald. He's the only person that I've ever interviewed that I invited to live with us. I don't know if you knew this or not. Because he's so good at courage, I thought, maybe if he went to college near us, he could stay with us, and he'd be a great example for you guys to follow. I was that impressed with this guy. Let's watch the story.
They were the bad news bears of swimming.
Y'all are on 2 minutes.
In fact, Coach Alex Wiedemann of Seguin High School in Arlington, Texas, says you can't overstate their underachievement.
Our goal every meet was to finish the race.
Just get across the pool?
Get across the pool. Really, we measured our success on not getting disqualified.
And because that was the standard, 4 years ago, Gerald Hodges made the team. Perhaps the only kid to ever make a high school swim team without a clue how to swim.
We had to get anybody. It didn't matter.
Didn't know how to swim.
He couldn't get across 5 yards, let alone 25 yards.
Was there really nobody better?
No.
Come on, Gerald. Come on, Gerald.
Eventually, he at least learned how to not drown and even finish some races, albeit long after the other competitors were done and toweled off.
Push it. Come on.
Yes, he was that bad, which is interesting because on dry land, Gerald is a remarkable athlete.
Could you have made the basketball team?
I think so.
Could you have made the football team?
I'm pretty sure.
Soccer team?
Pretty positive.
So why swimming?
I felt like if I couldn't handle not being good at something, then how could I consider myself, a successful person?
That quote bears repeating. If I couldn't handle not being good at something, then how could I consider myself a successful person? To Gerald, setting yourself up for failure is actually the key to future success, especially if you can somehow manage to master your weakness. And by the start of his senior year, Gerald had actually improved a lot.
But no one really knew how much he'd improved until a big regional meet earlier this year. It was the 200-yard medley relay. Top 2 teams qualify for state. And as usual, Seguin was pretty much in last place with 50 yards to go. And that's when Gerald jumped in the water.
Keep in mind, at this level, making up any significant time is nearly impossible. Unless maybe you've got something to prove. Unless, maybe, there's an extra drive deep within anyone who knows what it's like to be dismissed. Whatever it was, the kid who couldn't swim just sent his team to state.
Man, we was ecstatic. I could barely contain my energy as I was trying to go get this medal. I'm sitting here just freaking out.
You're having a hard time now.
Yes, I was like, I've come so far.
From now on, whenever you think anything is impossible, think of Gerald. Whenever you think the easiest path is the best, think again.
If I couldn't handle not being good at something, then how could I consider myself a successful person? Gerald gets it, doesn't he? He really does. You have to make yourself uncomfortable to grow. When you get uncomfortable and still find the will to push on, that's when the magic happens. We've got a special guest, don't we? Gerald is joining us now. Gerald, how you doing?
Hi, how are you guys?
It's so great to see you again.
Yes, sir. It's good to see y'all too.
I was telling them that I invited you to go to college near us and live with us.
Yes, I remember.
Unfortunately, you had a very happy family that you liked and wanted to stay
it was
with.
tempting offer nonetheless.
Were you ever worried about the other kids laughing when you first started swimming? And how did you get past that?
For me, it was I had to look to the end goal. Once I get past this, I'll be able to do these things.
What did it feel like to step outside your comfort zone?
Well, at first it was weird. Definitely going into a pool, not knowing how to swim, definitely a new experience. But one of the cool things about going outside of my comfort zone is you get to experience things you would have never seen had I stayed where I was.
Are you still trying hard things?
Oh, most definitely. Right now, I am a mathematics major, which in and of itself is such a hard major. I'm a math major who wants to teach. And a lot of times with teaching, you have to teach these kids these things that may seem difficult. It may seem like, well, I'm not good at math. Well, I wasn't good at swimming, but sometimes you have to learn how to do these things. You have to practice, you have to train, and those types of things will make you better at the things you are good at. So failure to me isn't so much as a stopping point, but more as a jumping off point. That's where I need to go from, is that failure.
Any tips for kids that want to be just as courageous as you are?
Don't be afraid to be afraid. I think that was one of the biggest things that my parents would always tell me is it's okay to be worried. It's okay to be nervous. You're not supposed to go in there thinking I'm just going to take care of it, because that's prideful. That's arrogant. That's how you mess up. In fact, one of my favorite quotes my dad used to throw around is that courage isn't the absence of fear. It is moving forward despite fear. So for me, when it comes to being afraid and being fearful, use that fear as a motivator to be smart, be cautious, and continue to go forward.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Thank you guys for having me.
Boys and girls, if you follow Gerald's advice, you can be a star. And sometimes you might even be able to make a star.
Oh my God!
17-year-old Taylor Wilson is into radioactive rocks.
When I hold something that's radioactive, it's kind of an indescribable feeling. It's kind of like when I'm with my girlfriend.
A little scary. A teenager handling radiation with his shoes untied. But the levels are safe, and there's really never been any reason for concern until he decided to build his own reactor.
I was going to produce nuclear fusion.
What made you think you could even do this?
That's my personality. I think I can do things. There's nothing that's impossible to me. You can ask my parents.
Yeah, he's just not wired like we are.
Taylor's dad, Ken, is a Coca-Cola bottler. Tiffany, a stay-at-home mom. They say Taylor started reading about nuclear physics in 5th grade. In 6th grade, he gave an hour-long science fair presentation on the subject.
Technetium-99m.
It soared over everyone.
Is an isotope of technetium.
Steve, I have no clue what he was talking about.
And yet they still let him try and build a nuclear reactor in their garage.
Sounds like we're not good parents.
Yeah, it kind of does.
He's pretty much convinced us he knows what he's doing.
He eventually convinced the University of Nevada, Reno physics department too.
Going underground.
They let Taylor move his project into their basement. And it was here, at the age of 14, that Taylor Wilson became the youngest person on Earth to create fusion.
You want to actually make a star? You want to crank this thing up?
He unlocked the secrets that drive the sun.
We have fusion.
Before he could drive. Wow. 3 years later, he's now a senior at the nearby Davidson Academy for profoundly gifted students. Obviously, Taylor could go to any college he wants. But would he get anything out of even the graduate level nuclear physics class? Especially since he taught that class last semester. That's why he may go straight to pursuing his next modest goal of keeping us all safe. Taylor recently invented a new way to scan shipping containers for nuclear material.
It's incredibly cheap, and because it's incredibly cheap, it can be deployed all over the US and all over the world, creating first, second, and third lines of defense all over.
That's in addition to the cancer cure he's working on, and God knows what else.
Oh, I have hundreds of ideas. I have too many ideas for a lifetime.
Fortunately, he's got a really good head start.
Taylor said, "Nothing is impossible to me." And that's our goal, right? That's why we want to be courageous. We want that feeling that nothing is impossible to us. And again, the first step in getting there is trying something hard and accepting that failure is going to be part of it. And it doesn't have to be something like nuclear physics. Do you even know what that is? No, who does? No, who does? But it sounds like it's pretty advanced, whatever it is. But it doesn't have to be anything like that. It just has to be something that's hard for you. That's really all it is. Got one more story I want to show you. It's about an 89-year-old man named Ed Bray. And he needed courage to do something that almost every one of you can do no problem. Take a look at this story.
Inside a single-wide in Cookson, Oklahoma, a tortured soul lives alone.
It's a hard life, let me tell you, but you ain't never lived hard till you go through what I've been through. This is me.
90-year-old Ed Bray served in World War II. He was at Normandy on D-Day, has 2 Purple Hearts and more than a dozen other medals. But when we first met him in March, he couldn't even read what they were for. Not because it was too painful.
Victory.
But because he simply couldn't read.
You know what that word is? E-U-R-O-P-E?
No. The toughest thing that ever happened to me in my life is not being able to read.
You said you were at Normandy, though.
Yes.
Illiteracy can be that damning.
I've covered this up for 80 years. Nobody in this town knows I can't read.
Until he retired, Ed worked a civilian job at an Air Force base refueling planes. A coworker helped him with the forms and whatnot. At home, his wife covered for him for 62 years, until she died in '09.
Put you guys some coffee on.
Since then, Ed has managed okay, but the soldier in him still refuses to surrender.
I wanted to read one book. I don't care if it's about Mickey Mouse. I want to read one book before I die.
Over the years, Ed says many people have tried to school him, but invariably, either the teacher or the student would get frustrated and give up. Then a few months ago, a friend suggested he see a professor of reading education here at Oklahoma's Northeastern State University.
He told me I was wasting my time. And I said, well, we'll just sit and chat a couple times a week. Is that okay? Very good.
Toby Thompson says eventually their weekly talks gave way to flashcards.
And everything started clicking. 4.
He got pretty good at the sight words.
1.
Good job.
But the real breakthrough came in February, when, at the age of 89, Ed Bray read this book about George Washington.
It gave me goosebumps, and it still does. It still does.
He read 3 more that week. And though they were all just third-grade level biographies,
Good job.
each one had the same dramatic ending.
Did you ever think you'd read that?
This has changed my whole life. I'm not the same guy I was when I started with Toby. I'm a different man now.
Today, Ed is at a 6th grade level and can now enjoy many of the benefits literacy provides.
Ladies and gentlemen,
most notably,
this is Ed Bray.
Karaoke.
Make the world go away.
We asked him to sing for us on this night, but he does it all the time on his own. Reading really has given him tremendous confidence, which he hopes will inspire others.
Ed Bray, everybody.
Get in there and learn, baby. Now. Because you ain't going to learn in that pine box.
Just learned to read and already a poet.
And that's the truth.
All Ed did was read a book, just a simple book. But to me, he's still as courageous as any dragon slayer. Do you guys want to be like Ed? Like Taylor, Gerald, Felicia? I hope so, because I have a homework assignment for you. No? Emmett looks like he doesn't want homework. I want you guys to try something hard. I don't care what it is. Try something that's hard for you. And I don't care if you succeed. In fact, it might even be better if you fail, because that's what this is all about, right? It's about embracing failure and trying new things. So that's your homework assignment. You can send it to us if you want to video what you're trying. And you can send it to kindness101@cbsnews.com. I'd love to see what you guys try. What do you want to try, Meryl?
I will think about that.
You're going to think about that? I have an idea.
What?
Riding a bike. Because you don't like trying riding a bike, right? Why not?
I feel like I'm going to fall off.
Yeah, well, it makes sense. So you have a little fear, right? And you're worried about not succeeding? Yeah. Would you be willing to try, even though it's hard? How do you think you'd feel if you were able to ride that bike?
I would feel like I did the impossible for me.
Right, and that's what this is all about. So I'd really like to hear what you guys do. Again, kindness101@cbsnews.com. And if you don't succeed, it doesn't matter. Courageous people embrace failures, right? So good luck, boys and girls. We're going to have another class about optimism. So join us for that one. It should be a good class. Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody.